Timely access to the appropriate level of treatment is of key importance when someone reaches the point where they're ready to seek help for a substance use problem. Recovery advocates have become increasingly concerned that insurance companies, rather than treatment professionals, have the final say in the type of care someone can receive. Legislation has been introduced in New York to address this concern. Joining us today to discuss this issue in greater depth is Anthony Rizzuto, Provider Relations Representative for Seafield Center.
Hey,
Anthony, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The whole issue of treatment and readiness for treatment is so important. What's gotten you involved in this whole subject?
Well, you know, I've been working in the field now for about 15 years. And, you know, one of the things that you know when you work in this field is that people, what's inherent in the illness is that when people want to get help, usually it doesn't happen in the beginning. There's denial involved, and they don't want to get help. People that love them and care about them want them to get help. They don't want to get help.
Right.
But then it comes to a point where they finally say, okay, I'm ready. And then they come to either me or to a place that's a professional treatment facility, and they will be evaluated. And when they try to get them the level of care that they need, in many instances they're being denied by their insurance company. So it's not a lack of not having the benefit. The specific people I'm talking about right now are people that have insurance, they have benefits, but when you try to access that benefit, you know, we run into a lot of roadblocks.
So there's a disconnect between the findings or assessment of the treatment professional and what the insurance company is willing to authorize.
Correct. Most times what would happen is for instance, at Seafield, we do a 16-page biopsychosocial. So we got a pretty extensive history. We've been with the client now for an hour and a half, 2 hours, getting a history on them, getting as much information as we can, making a determination of what this person's struggling with, pick up the phone, call up the insurance company. So in a typical case, somebody will come to us, we'll do this, and we'll determine perhaps that they're suffering from opioid dependence, and our recommendation would be treatment, would be a detox, you know, followed perhaps with an inpatient rehab if it warrants it. And then when we make the phone call to the insurance company, we're being told that no, they don't meet medical necessity. And the argument that they will give is that a person can't die from withdrawal of opiates. Now, if you've ever seen anybody withdraw from high-level addiction, it's very, very uncomfortable. And the argument that I make is they might not die from the withdrawal, but what they're willing to do has the ability to kill them or others in the process. And you know, I think you see a lot of these, the pharmacy shootings, and you see a lot of things that have come out of people that were addicted. So that's the frustration. The frustration is treatment professionals, and I'm not the only one experiencing this. The reason that we're doing what we're doing is because a lot of us are experiencing this on a daily basis, where people are finally coming to that point where they're ready to get help. And when we try to, and there's help available, and we can't put the two of those together because insurance companies, in a lot of instances, are denying access.
So on the one hand, you have for detox, which is the medical part of the process in terms of helping somebody stay safe while they withdraw from a drug. You have denials in that regard, but you also have denials for rehab. And I'm hearing from a lot of people that the rationale used is because the person has not, quote, failed an outpatient treatment.
That's a big one. That's a big one. That's really frustrating. We've actually heard that term said. We've heard them say that, have they been an outpatient before? And in some cases, the answer is no. And they'll say, well, they need to attend outpatient and fail at outpatient. If they fail at outpatient, then call us back and we'll revisit this discussion. And to me, that's ludicrous. When you have a person who finally gets to the point where they're ready to get the help, and in some cases, you know, we have people reporting using 10 bags a day, 15 bags a day.
Of heroin.
Yes, or taking 20 or 30 pills a day. And a person like that there is coming in to get help. It's just, it doesn't make any sense to deny somebody like that and try to have them do something on a much smaller level. If you're using that much, you're probably getting high a big majority of the day. And to think that you're going to be able to go on an outpatient setting, what I've experienced is the adherence to outpatient doesn't exist.
Right.
They can't make a commitment to every day get up and go to the program. That's been what my experience has been. So we're opposed to that. We believe that you do an accurate assessment, you determine what the appropriate level of care is, and then you go to place them in that level of care. And again, the argument being that most of these people on their policy, they have detox, 7 days per calendar year, 30 days of rehab per calendar year, and 60 visits. So it's not that they don't have the benefit. Remember, they've been paying into this benefit sometimes 10, 15 years, and thinking that, God forbid I ever need it, I'm covered.
Right.
Now when they go to access it, they realize that this doesn't work. And that's the frustrating thing. And families are up in arms when they come and the person finally agrees and we can't help them.
So how did you get involved? And I understand you're a founder of an organization known as F.I.S.T.
Right.
How does F.I.S.T. fit into this, and how did the legislation kind of get developed and move along?
Right. So F.I.S.T. is an acronym for Families in Support of Treatment, and it stemmed from numerous families losing a loved one to addiction. F.I.S.T. came about to organize people. So it's kind of like if you think of the hand individually, the fingers are kind of weak. But when you bring them together, there's strength and unity. So the idea behind F.I.S.T. was to achieve 3 goals. One is to be able to provide resources and get people in need with the resources. The second part was to be able to provide awareness and education for communities. And the third one was to gather community support for this bill that we're trying to have passed.
How will the legislation change things?
Well, the main thing is that it's going to change the decision-making process would be on the part of the professional who's doing the assessment. Look, this was done in the mid to late 80s in Pennsylvania. That's kind of where we came up with this, as we saw what happened over there where people were being denied access. It's PA Act 106. So we're looking to recreate the same thing where folks that have benefits would be able to go see a doctor, a psychiatrist, a treatment professional, and would be able to have the determination by them as opposed to the insurance company. And basically what it says is, if the doctor or the psychiatrist says this is what I need, as long as I go to a place that's in network with you, then it has to be covered.
And clearly you have a lot of passion behind this. This is really important to you. Viewers probably have some interest in both F.I.S.T. and maybe looking into the legislation a bit more. How might they find that out?
They're welcome to call me. My phone number is area code 516-316-6387, or they're welcome to send me an email. It's Rizzuto@seafieldcenter.com.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you. Thank you for having me.